Welcome to There's a Musical for That.
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 And if you like cellar dwellers
And trapdoor lovers,
there's a musical for that.
And if you like mermaids, crabs, and guppies, why? There's a musical for that.
If you like fan of the opera fan fiction, there's a musical for that.
If you like falling in love and broken hearts, and establishing your dreams and then having them dashed, and duels, there's a musical for that.
and it's called Wicked.
And it's called Little Mermaid Live.
It's called Hamilton.
And it's called Dogfight.
And it's called Fan of the Opera 2, Love Never Died.
Welcome to There's a Musical for That.
How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? Last year's rent.
Welcome to There's a Musical for That with Tiffany and Kayla. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Tiffany.
And if you like bohemian lifestyles, there's a musical for that, and it's called Rent.
Yay.
Rent. So we watched the 2008 Broadway version of Rent that is on, not Wikipedia.
YouTube?
Yes. It's on YouTube. You can find it very easily.
It's nice quality.
It was I guess a video, like they did a video.
Yes. This was an intent, it's not
This
like
was not
somebody,
somebody, yeah,
in
in
the,
the crowd.
audience hiding it and stealing it. They filmed this and made it available.
Well, they might have stolen it because who knows where that DVD is.
Oh. Well.
I don't think they filmed it for YouTube. So, in general, Rent is an adaptation of La Boheme, a opera from 1896, which is based on a book, La Vie de Bohème, from 1851. Essentially about bohemian types, artists, floaty types, who come down with, I believe it was consumption in the book and opera, which was tuberculosis, or I think they called pretty much anything consumption.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure it was tuberculosis, though, because people would just catch it and just kind of be out of there. Mm-hmm. But Jonathan Larson remade it to be about the AIDS crisis that was happening in the 80s in the United States, and I think it works pretty well.
Yep. It was very, very nicely done. When did the first Broadway production?
Premiered on Broadway, 1996. And I do believe that Jonathan Larson passed away the day before the Broadway premiere. Like, he lost his battle with AIDS on the day before. Unfortunately. And it has been on Broadway. It's still on Broadway.
It's really good.
Maybe. It's still being performed. I don't know if it's actually on Broadway, actually. So we decided to watch one of the live versions because we've seen the movie to death. And it's a bit different watching a live version than a movie version. Cause
I haven't seen it to death, but I've seen it a few times. It's been many years since I watched the movie, though.
And they cut out, different songs for timing in the movie, whereas on Broadway it's like 2.5 hours.
But both are very good. If you want to watch the movie, I would recommend the movie. I actually did like this Broadway production more than the movie. So if you can find it on YouTube, awesome. If not, the movie's good too.
Yeah, I would say the movie and the story of Rent in general has received a lot of criticisms that I don't necessarily agree with. A lot of them I've heard are like, these people are just lazy, kind of entitled people who want something for nothing. And I could see in the movie that being interpreted a bit more than in the actual stage version, because there's more background. Like with the guys living in the apartment for free, the guy who bought the building did say that they could live there and then kind of went back on his promise. So it wasn't like they were like, well, we're just not going to pay rent. It was literally, you went back on your promise. Do you want to tell the story of Rent for anybody who doesn't know? Just a general oversight, and then we can kind of...
Sure. So,
Or you can go straight into going deep. I don't care.
a group of friends are, as Kayla said, living in a building, very poorly maintained building. The power goes out all the time, doesn't have heat, type of thing. They get power out of a power cord stretching outside the building somehow. And they all have various issues going on. They've had substance abuse issues.
Several of them are HIV positive. Some of them
Yes.
have AIDS. They're
Yep.
not just HIV positive.
A lot of relationship entanglements. So the owner of the building used to be their friend and used to live there, but then he married up and into a rich family. One of the guys used to be, I guess, a somewhat successful musician.
Roger.
Yes, and now he still is trying to be a musician, but is not successful anymore. You have the main narrator, Mark, who
Mark Cohen.
is a cameraman,
He's a writer.
filmmaker,
Filmmaker.
yes. There's their friend Collins, who meets Angel. They fall in love and have a relationship, the most stable relationship in the movie. And you also have Mimi, who also lives in the building, and she and Roger have chemistry, and she is 19 years old, very young, works in I'm going to say strip club, I guess, and has substance abuse issues. Roger is no longer abusing, but is HIV positive, so doesn't want to be around her and her different drugs, wants her to stop using those, but does care for her. There's Mark's ex-girlfriend, Maureen, who is now dating Joanne, who is a lawyer. And Maureen is a free spirit, performs a lot. So yes, that's an overview, I believe. Oh, and then there's Benny is their friend who owns the building. I believe that's the high-level synopsis of all of the main characters. Apologies if I missed anyone. And now we can go into the opening number of the film.
Okay,
So,
really quick. Sorry. I found out that the one that we watched was the finale performance on Broadway, which is why they did have the original people come back.
okay.
And it was filmed for a DVD.
Okay.
And we can say who was in it, because I found the list.
Oh.
So playing Mark, we had Adam Cantor, who's also in Next to Normal, Wikipedia tells me. Playing Roger was Will Chase. Mimi was Renee Elise Goldsberry, who was also in Hamilton as Angelica. Collins, I was about to say Tom, but Collins is played by Michael McElroy, who is very great. Angel was played by Justin Johnson. Maureen was Eden Espinosa. Joanne was played by Tracy Toms, who also played her in the 2005 film. And Benny was played by Rodney Hicks.
All right. Opening number. We're not, I don't think we should go through all of them because there's 43.
Yeah, there's a lot. And some of them
So-
are very short.
Right. We're just going to hit the highlights. So,
Starts with, well, we could talk about, I guess, the voicemail, because that's different from the movies.
I guess.
Mark's mom is calling, and she's kind of annoying, and he doesn't answer.
Yes.
None of them talk to their parents.
She calls throughout the movie, which is kind of rude. I understand that parents can be,
It's over the course of a year.
and they never call their parents back.
Oh, I thought you meant it was rude that the parents kept calling, and I was like,
No!
they can call their children.
I
over the
thought it
course
was
of a year.
kind of rude that so I understand parent-child relationships are bad. If you had a terrible, terrible relationship, I'm not saying to call an abusive parent, but in general, try and get over your grudges because your parents probably did the best that they could in most situations and do care.
And I do think that's part of the people complaining about these people kind of being entitled little a-holes of, like, these people whose parents are financing their lives so they can play poor, essentially, in cities, and then they can always run back to mommy and daddy, and they don't actually care about them. So yes, then we go to, you see Benny comes and he basically tells them, you know, that I told you guys could live here for free. Just kidding, I need all the last year's rent. And they're like, we don't have it. Yeah. They're not going to pay it. And then you see Collins gets jumped in an alley. Their friend Collins comes, and he used to be their roommate, but was off teaching at MIT. And he got expelled. And he comes back to town. He asks him for the keys. Before he can make it up, he gets attacked. And he meets Angel, who is drumming.
Sweet, sweet angel.
Yes, and Angel ends up taking him home to fix up his wounds, and they have a meet cute and fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Roger kind of alone.
Singing One Song Glory because, again, he used to be a fairly successful musician and he still wants to write that one song that
Before
is going to...
he dies.
Yes, because he's HIV positive and he doesn't know how much time he's going to have and he wants to leave something of substance behind.
There's a difference. I want to make a slight note. Oh, my toes. There's a difference between being HIV positive and having AIDS, because now a lot of people
Touché.
have HIV or HIV positive but do not have AIDS. Back
Correct.
then, the medicine was not where it is today. So Roger has AIDS, so he is like counting down the clock.
Angel.
We were talking about One Song Glory.
I know, but
That's Roger who sings it.
Okay, yes. I guess in my mind because...
Angel died.
No, I know that, but I would say that Roger has HIV.
So right before he sings One Song Glory is when Mark says that Roger's girlfriend, slit her wrist and wrote, "We have AIDS," on the mirror before she died.
Is that because they didn't know the difference at the time of HIV?
I think
and AIDS?
I think Jonathan Larson, who had AIDS, who wrote this musical,
Fair enough.
knew what he was talking about. I just think back then it progressed so quickly because there wasn't all the, like, Magic Johnson has been HIV positive for years, but he's rich, but he still does not have AIDS. I think once you hit AIDS, it just kind of, it's a lot more aggressive.
Maybe because he was seemingly so healthy in the production for the full year of the scope, I thought he had HIV and not AIDS.
I think that's fair. But he is essentially saying, in my view at least, I have AIDS, I don't know how much longer I have, so I need to write this one great song before I go, so I can go out in a blaze of glory. Sadly. And then Mimi's kind of creeping up as he's singing, because she lives down below them, and climbs in the window. No, she knocks on the door.
She knocks on the door.
Out tonight is when she climbs in the window, and she's like, "Hey, hot stuff, I got this candle, will you light it for me?" And she keeps blowing it out so he'll talk to her. And he finds out that she does heroin, I think is what smack is.
I don't know.
And
Some white powder stuff.
Mark when he's introducing Roger in the beginning, he talks about how Roger has just detoxed for 6 months off of drugs. So he is 6 months clean, and then Mimi comes in with drugs and an alluring attitude, and he's kind of ends up pushing her out of there.
Then Collins brings Angel to meet Mark and Roger and comes in with a lot of... It's around Christmas time, and she comes in with money, singing Today for You.
About how she made the money from getting a dog to jump off a balcony
Yes.
and kill itself. Mark runs off. Mark had been dating Maureen up until very recently. I think it was a month. Or was it 3 months?
I don't remember.
They had broken up, and Maureen left him for a woman, Joanne. And Maureen is doing this big performance art show, and her system has gone down, and Joanne is forced to call Mark to help fix it. And this is the first time Joanne and Mark meet. And Mark kind of gives her the rundown of, like, this is how Maureen is. Like, this is what you're going to go through.
You skipped Benny coming back.
Oh, yeah, you'll see.
Yeah, so Benny he says, "Oh, you guys can still have free rent if you help me build up this studio on this empty lot, and we're going to charge the tenants on the top floor lots of money." And
Well, I think you can have free rent if you stop this protest that Maureen is doing.
Yes. Stop this protest, and also, this is how I'm going to take care of you by this studio. I'm going to give you this. So then it goes to the sound stuff.
And I mean, if Roger and Mark don't believe Benny, I think they're full in their rights based on what happened the last time that he offered them free rent. But yes, Joanne and Mark meet, and like I said, he's giving her the lowdown, and from my perception, it ends up turning out that they both realize that Maureen cheated on Mark with Joanne, and Joanne did not know that, and Mark didn't know that, and they came to the realization together of like, oh, she cheated on you with me. Sorry. This is awkward. So then Joanne starts kind of second guess and becomes more insecure in her relationship after finding that Maureen kind of has this MO of how she does things. And the group minus Roger, Maureen, and Joanne, they go to a life support meeting, which is for people who have HIV or HIV/AIDS. And Mark is kind of awkward, like, I'm just here to film. I don't actually, sorry, I don't have this disease.
Yeah.
And a fun fact that I learned about this when they're saying all the names of the people in the beginning. So apparently what they would do is each person would say a name of someone that lost their battle to AIDS.
Oh.
So the names would be different every show.
Oh.
I just thought that was interesting. But they just do like an affirmation and you kind of see the group. And people are kind of talking about their experiences.
Then we have Mimi coming to see Roger again, and she wants to go out tonight. Nicely done performance. Very impressive people,
Yeah,
I must say.
but she kind of comes in when he's like sitting there like thinking about his mortality. It's like not the
Yes.
right time. And then she also like waving the bag of drugs in his face, like, we
Yes.
could have fun. And he's like, I think that's what set him over the
Yeah.
edge. He was like,
Get
no.
out of here. Take your stuff with you, whatever it is.
Yeah, and she's basically like, there's, only today. Don't think about the future. Let's just do whatever we want. Which, don't have unprotected sex, guys. That,
And don't stick odd needles in
yeah,
yourself.
Don't do that either. Please don't. They're, focus on today, but also plan for the future, is what I would say. And then you go back to, so there's a nice dichotomy between the homeless people on the street versus the people who are infected with AIDS, both talking about kind of how their lives are kind of forfeit almost. So they both sing Will I lose my dignity, will someone care? And it's like the homeless people and the people with HIV AIDS, which I thought was nice. And then on the street is where the guy's doing the honest living, honest living, honest living, honest living. You didn't like that?
It went on for a while.
That's fair. But it's basically the homeless people talking about basically, it's Christmas everywhere but on the street. Because there's no Santa Claus, there's no nothing. You want to go?
Santa Fe, is that where,
Let's open a
Collins
restaurant
and
in
Angel are
Santa
singing
Fe.
about opening a restaurant in Santa
And
Fe?
Mark, yeah.
Mark.
Sunny Santa Fe. Because they're like, New York is too hard, let's just go where it's warm.
And then
And
there's
Santa Fe.
I'll Cover You with Collins and Angel. So Angel's getting Collins a new coat because his coat was stolen, and then it's how they're going to be there for each other. It was just, that was a very nicely done love story, I must say.
They're the most non-dysfunctional. The most functional.
Well, yes. Yes. What's Where Okay?
That's Joanna's on the phone with her other lawyer talking about the case.
Oh.
And she's like, it's going great. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And then Maureen calls on the other phone. And then her dad calls. And it's essentially, first Joanna's like, everything's going great. And then she starts to hear some concerning things from Maureen about she has a model over from the penthouse apartment in their home. And she's like, in denial, saying, oh, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. She's seeing more of that Maureen is untrustworthy thing.
Yep.
Christmas bells are ringing. Christmas bells. That's what that is. How time flies.
For 6
When
minutes?
compassion
That seems
dies.
long. Okay. And then we have Over the Moon, which is Maureen's performance. It's so weird.
And I thought in the
So
movie it was
weird.
played a lot more straightforward, which is why I really didn't like it. And in this version, it's definitely like, oh, she is an obnoxious little
Yes.
New Yorky type self-righteous like they made it obvious that like she is like not a profession, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like she is not to be taken super seriously here.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like
It's
it.
too long.
It's too long. It was really weird. Yes, she has a fantastic voice, but mostly I'm just like, stop it. I think that I may have skipped a teeny tiny. I just fast forwarded a little bit.
That's fine.
In that song.
Over
'cause
the
I
Moon
was
doesn't
like,
provide a lot of
No, it doesn't.
other than the acting by the woman who plays her, which I thought was funny, of her just being like out of breath and then being like, okay.
Which the woman who plays her did a really good job.
Yeah, she
but-
slightly resembles Adina Menzel, who originated the role.
Then we have La Vie Boheme.
Yeah, they go to the Life Cafe to celebrate Maureen's performance.
Mm-hmm.
And La Vie Boheme is split into two parts. Because La Vie Boheme is the giant 8-minute song and with everybody singing, and it's split into the beginning part and then the middle where Roger and Mimi kind of make up, and then they go off and then everybody keeps singing.
I'm assuming this somehow translates to the Bohemian life or something.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Yes.
To dance, no way to make a living.
Mm-hmm. I did skip in it because it was just very long. Like, I like it.
That used to be my favorite one because it was so long.
Oh.
Just because it was so long.
Mm.
So I could learn all the words and be like, look at me, I know everything.
Mm.
Yeah, but they're basically, because Collins kind of makes fun of them and says, like, this is Calcutta, Bohemia is dead. You guys need to get with the program. You can't just be flouncing all about. Come to the technological world.
Mm-hmm.
And they are retorting that it's not dead. Look at us. We are poor and artsy.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that, Mimi like has a little alarm that goes off, and she goes, "Oh, AZT break." When I was younger, I did not know what that meant. Now I understand it is the pill that they're taking. Because she pulls out a pill, and earlier, Mark, when he's leaving Roger at home alone, he says, "Take your AZT," and Mark takes a pill. So Roger has been kind of apprehensive about being in this relationship with Mimi, partly because he has AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says AZT break and takes her pill, and he's like, "You?" And she says, "Yeah, me." "You?" And he says, "Yes, me." So that's when they start to make up, because they realize that they both have AIDS, which I just put together today. That's what was happening. Because I think in the movie they did not take a pill. In this, I very clearly saw them open a bottle and take a pill, and I was like,
I didn't put that together either. I didn't know actually that Mimi had. I just thought she was a junkie and maybe hadn't actually been infected yet.
you wouldn't get it unless you were literally paying attention and watch her take the bottle and say, "Me, you, me."
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I was like, oh, I get it. Yes, so then they go off, they make up, everybody's happy because the group has been wanting them to just like get it right. And so they go off to like make out, and then the song ends very triumphantly.
Mm-hmm.
Viva la vie bohème.
Mm-hmm. And intermission. Then we come back with Seasons of Love, which in the movie, that's the opening song. In the Broadway production, it's right after the intermission.
Which is a good way to come back from intermission.
Mm-hmm.
You see all your characters again.
Yes.
And all the, it's a very limited cast. There's the main cast, and there's the rest of the company who play multiple characters. And they all sing Season of Love, because maybe, 15 people total, if that.
It was quite a few, yeah.
So yes, they sing Seasons of Love again, and then we go to Happy New Year, showing that time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, I'm pretty sure Happy New Year was cut out. I know Halloween was cut out of the movie.
So yes, they're celebrating the new year, doo-doo-doo, and then...
Oh, and Mimi says her resolution is to give up drugs. She does not meet that,
Nope.
unfortunately.
I'm gonna skip through a couple voicemails and go to Take Me or Leave Me, which is with Joanne and Maureen. Basically, Maureen has been on Joanne's case about being kind of jealous. She doesn't want her to cheat on her, and also kind of stifling who she is, like her artistic spirit.
And she's like a flirty person.
Yeah, she's a very flirty person.
Don't take it too seriously, but at the end of La Vie Bohème, Joanne does walk in and see Maureen kissing another woman at the table, and she like gets really mad.
Mm-hmm. Understandably so.
And Maureen is basically like, "I just got carried away. It's not that big of a
Right.
deal." So it's understandable that Joanne is angry.
Yes.
But she's just getting increasingly jealous now.
Right.
Yeah.
And Maureen's basically like, this is who I am, take me or leave me. And Joanne's response to this by saying, this is who I am, take me or leave me.
And, like, I'm a prize, too. Don't think that I just need you. Like, I'm a successful person. This is who I am. I'm principled.
Right.
And I did like it better in the play that they weren't already engaged, and this was at their engagement party, because that's, like, awkward.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked it. But then they broke up at the end of the song, so they decided to leave.
Because she wouldn't take it back.
Seasons of Love B?
It's just a transition song.
Okay. Without You, which is so sad. This is where Angel is dying.
Yeah, Angel's getting weaker, and Mimi is also getting weaker, as in she's gone back to the drugs, and is just she's lying to Roger about it, and he sees something is wrong, and they're fighting, and then Joanne is also laying there but not singing, and it's kind of like she doesn't have Maureen either, and Angel is fading.
Yes, and it's just so well done the way Collins is taking care of Angel on stage. It's very sad. It's very heartbreaking.
And then they do the Contact song, which was never on I don't know if they put it on the actual soundtrack disc, because I had never heard it before, but I think it's like people over-sexualized, and then they say some things about no latex, no rubber. I think it's
Oh, yeah, that was
about
weird.
how, I think it might be about how Angel got AIDS from just kind of, because it was like, you, then me, then me, then you. Nothing in
Yes.
between us, such and such.
Yes, that's what they were conveying, but it was
Hard to
very
tell.
weird. Like, it was one of those
Strobe
very
light.
modern type of, like how Maureen's performances are just like, can you just say it? There were people under the sheet for the, they were, yes, conveying how you can contract different diseases by not having the latex protection, but also in a very modern way, which I'm not a huge fan of those types of modern performances,
Understandable.
so
Honestly.
wasn't for me. Then we have I'll Cover You reprise,
Which is at the funeral.
Angel's funeral, where everybody comes together. They start fighting, but Collins is like, "Can you hold it together today?" And then they honor Angel.
And you find out that Mark has sold his guitar and is leaving to go to Santa Fe. And Mimi essentially, passive-aggressively, I guess, because Mark finds out, I suppose, that she is using drugs. And he has been jealous of Benny this whole time because Benny mentioned that he and Mimi had a thing going. Even though she hasn't had anything with him while she was with Mark, when Mark finally leaves, she kind of, to throw it in his face, she's like, well, then I'll get back with Benny. So Benny's with her at the funeral, and they're kind of, it's just, things are popping off. Maureen and Joanne are fighting, and...
Benny, who is married.
Exactly, so it's like, why do you have a 19-year-old girlfriend anyway? So yes, Roger talks about how he's leaving. Mimi leaves. Roger and Mark get into it because Roger says to Mark, you are someone who acts like you're, so invested in your emotions, and you really just detach. So you don't have to feel anything, and Mark's retort is, you're going to die. I have to keep going, so this is how I keep going. And, Roger, after getting mad, says, I'll call, and he goes to leave. And he sees Mimi outside. Do you want to talk about that one? That's Goodbye, Love. And she says, I heard every word you said. You don't want to
About
watch me
Halloween?
die. No, I skipped that.
Okay.
Because at the end of Halloween, I just skipped it. Don't worry.
Okay. All right then.
I switched to Goodbye, Love.
Is that when Roger's back and Mimi is? Then
No,
nope, I'm not going to
Roger.
cover.
That's when Roger is leaving. After he and Mark get into it, he goes to leave and sees Mimi there, and he says, "You heard?" And she says every word, and basically says, "I understand why you're leaving. You don't want to watch me kill myself with drugs, and you don't want to watch me die from this disease. I just came to say goodbye." And she...
Isn't this kind of a moment where everybody's saying goodbye to each other? Mine says Adina Menzel is also in this, so I feel like they're all saying goodbye.
So in the movie version, it starts at the funeral,
But this
and they are saying
this is the Broadway list because it has the voicemails.
I guess that whole thing is Goodbye
Because
Love.
this is after.
Yes, that whole thing is Goodbye Love.
Yeah.
Where they're arguing with each other, and then that whole thing is
And
Goodbye
they all
Love.
go their separate ways.
Yes.
Yes.
And Goodbye Love continues until Mimi decides that she is going to go to rehab.
Yes.
And Benny says he'll pay for it, and also they don't have money to pay for Angel's funeral, and Benny says he'll pay for that too, and that was cut out of the movie. And I think the end of Goodbye Love was cut out of the movie also. They filmed it, but it's on like the deleted scenes where Mimi decides to go to rehab, and Benny says I'll pay. So they kind of cut out where Benny is being a decent human being. Let me look back at Halloween. You can keep going forward. I need to double check.
So Roger does come back. The next song is "What You Own," basically like in the you're defined by what you own. Basically, that's how people see you.
And Mark decides to quit his...
Yes. He signs a contract to make I guess the documentary of their lives. What does he make?
So he was working for a bit of a sleazy TV station after he filmed Maureen's Protest. And What You Own is where he decides to quit.
Okay.
He's like, I have sold out for money, so I quit. And they basically come to terms with all you have is each other, so Roger comes back home.
After he has written his song. You don't hear it yet, but he wrote whatever song he wanted to write.
They both find their inspiration again.
Yes, and he has tried to find Mimi, but Mimi is gone. But they're friends again, and their relationship has been patched up. So then there's Your Eyes. So everybody is kind of meeting back at the apartment or building where they live, and Joanne and Maureen they've gotten back together, and they're coming back to the building, and they shout up that they have Mimi. They found her in a park and can't get her up the stairs. So they run down, get Mimi, carry her back up, put her on a table, and they call 911. She's essentially dying. And Roger finally sings her his song and tells her that he loves her, which the whole time they've been singing, I should tell you, and he tells her that he loves her, and then she appears to die, and everybody's sad, and then she takes a deep breath in, and she's not dead.
She says she saw a white light,
Yes.
an angel.
In
An
a
angel
tunnel.
told her to turn back around and listen to him singing. Mm-hmm. I did go back and listen to Halloween. Halloween is just the intro to Angel's funeral. It's Mark basically saying, how did we all get here? Mm-hmm. That's all. And then finale B is There's Only Us, There's Only This. The affirmation again.
Mm-hmm. And then Seasons of Love, which is how do you measure a year in the life?
Yeah, I think they only sang that again because the people. They had a lot of the original cast come out.
It's in my...
Mine does not have it.
It's in...
Maybe they do sing it twice every time.
Or maybe I am looking at the movie. I don't know. It's at the end of this one.
Is
Whatever I'm
Love
looking
Heals a song on there?
No.
Then that's not the movie. The movie had an extra track called Love Heals at the end.
Oh. This is Seasons of Love with Stevie Wonder, so maybe it was the credits.
Yes. Tiffany,
All right.
Stevie Wonder was not in Rent. You didn't see that man in there. What do you want to rate this out of? Sorry we're not as lively. Broken broke us. That's really all I can say about that.
It's also we did this in the morning this time.
Yeah. You want to rate it out of late notices? I hope to never be late on my rent.
Sure.
What do you want to rate it out of? Days?
No. Because I'm only rating it out of 5 days, and I feel like...
That's a work week. That's a respectable amount of time. That's what I meant.
Seasons of Love.
Yeah, how many seasons of love?
I will give it 4 out of 5 seasons of love.
Okay. I'll give it 4.5. I liked it. I like this
Yep.
version.
It
lot.
yes, it was very nice.
The people were very talented.
So talented. I just didn't. Some of the songs, I'm like, okay, you could be shorter. And some of
can see
Maureen's
that.
performances, I was like, you can stop being so modern now, which is just
Yeah.
my preference. If you like the modern performances, that's fine. Good for you.
Different strokes, different folks.
Yep.
Yeah, I did like Over the Moon a lot better in this one, just because it was so obvious that she's just like this obnoxious person. If it wasn't for that, because the movie took it very seriously, and I was just like, am I supposed to understand this?
Yeah, it was
'Cause I don't.
odd. What's your favorite song?
Oh, boo. It's hard to. There's so many. I really like "I'll Cover You" a lot more than I did as a youngster. As a youngster, I would skip it because it made me uncomfortable if they were talking about gay people. And this was like my first exposure to gay people in life. This movie. The movie version, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I do really like it. I mean, it has good harmonies in it. What You Own, I really like because I like
Mm-hmm.
the harmonies. I like a lot of them.
Yep.
What about you?
My favorite is definitely Seasons of Love. It's just such a good standalone. Like, even if you never watch this, which I recommend it, it's good, but if you just go listen to Seasons of Love, it's a very nice song. And then from this performance, I would say my second favorite, based on actually watching it and seeing it all, was Without You. It was just so
Oh,
well
yeah.
done.
The whole thing.
When
around it,
yes, and Colin's taking care of and carrying Angel. It made me cry a little bit, which is very rare. So
Yeah. Wow, finally
I was-
cracked you.
yes, it was just nicely done.
Yes, it's very emotionally evocative, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm using that word correctly, which is why, even though I understand the criticism that it gets for thinking that people are so pretentious, this, that, and the other.
I mean, everybody, yes,
has a
we're all
heart.
yes, we're all pretentious. We all, yes, they are flawed human beings, as we all are. So I'm not saying that all the choices that they made were the best choices. I recognize that, but if that's the only thing you're focusing on, you're missing the point.
Yes, and I would say in contrast to Broken, which we talked about last time, is people did make choices that I did not agree with, but the rest of their the rest of the world building and the characters did not overcompensate for like, this is a flawed person. It seemed like this is a flawed script. Not that this character as a person is flawed, because even, like I said, Benny, they showed him like paying for Angel's funeral even though he knew Angel killed the dog, and paying for Mimi to go to rehab, and this,
Right.
they showed that.
Yes.
And I can see that more with the movie because they had to cut things down for time. I can see more so like, these people are just so annoying and blah, 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 blah. But it has a heart.
It does.
It's a very emotional, and you could see at the end when they were doing the bow, some people were crying who were in the show. They were like crying. I like it.
Very talented cast, very well written, has a heart, does not glaze over that people are flawed people.
Like when the homeless woman, Mark is filming the homeless woman, like for part of his documentary, and she essentially says, don't use me to make yourself feel better. And then she says, do you have $1? And he doesn't. And she's like, that's what I thought. Like, you think you're better than me, but you don't even have $1 to give to me. You're just going to use this footage to make money that you're not going to give to us. Yeah, it's well-rounded.
It is.
That's why it has such staying power. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Well, one less to worry about.
I
One
just
less
lost
hair to brush.
Yes, I just lost a hair from my head. It's okay.
She has several more. Don't you worry.
I might be balding though. It's very concerning.
You have a lot more hair. You can
know.
get a hair transplant now if you want.
I guess. I'll just embrace it. Maybe I'll just be a bald lady. Is there anything else we need to touch on?
Not really. I'm getting hungry.
Okay. Well, thanks again for listening. Should we say where they can follow
Yeah.
us and give us feedback?
Go ahead.
What? I think you should do it.
You could follow us on Facebook at There's Musical for That, on Twitter at TAMFT Podcast. You can email us at You can email us
TMFT at
podcast at gmail.
gmail.com.
We might be making a website. Carly from the ZooCast wants to make us a website.
Aw, that sounds sweet. Thank you, Carly.
But I have to get the domain first, and I'm
Oh.
just not that invested.
Take your time.
I'm not as invested to get the domain.
Take your time.
We're on SoundCloud at There's a Musical for That. Email us if you have any suggestions. And again, you know, we're just low energy today. We got low blood sugar. We're not perfect people.
We're all flawed,
Yeah.
but we have heart.
And I am going to pay my rent because I like to live where I live.
Yes.
But watch this version of Rent. Tell us if you liked it. If you liked the movie better. Why? Okay, bye.
Farewell.
Bye, everybody.
Farewell.
Bye.
Goodbye.
On Dada. See.
Goodbye.